Long ago, in the land of Uzwari, there lived a king called Osuma. Osuma had many wives and daughters, and only one son. Among the queens, Queen Omoge didn't have a child. Other queens mocked and antagonized Queen Omoge. They made life miserable for her. Queen Omoge was greatly troubled. Everything she did to conceive was fruitless. The king was also worried about Queen Omoge. She was his favorite amongst his queens. He loved her so much and he wanted her to give him a child. One day, the chief priest came to the palace to deliver a message from the gods to the king. He was told what to do for Queen Omoge to conceive with a child, and he did everything he was asked to do. Queen Omoge eventually conceived the child, and she and the king rejoiced about it. All through Queen Omoge's pregnancy, she was careful and prayed for the gods to see her through it. She knew the other queens were jealous of her and she didn't trust anyone in the palace. Queen Omoge eventually delivered. She was attended to by the palace birth attendant. It was a difficult birth and she spent long hours to have her baby and lost so much blood. The queen held the baby, kissed her and called her Emike. In Exako language, it means what I seek for. She handed the baby to the midwife and a few minutes later, she gave up the ghost. The community was thrown into mourning at the death of the queen. The birth of a child that was supposed to bring joy and happiness brought sorrow and tears. The little princess was handed to Queen Onote to take care of. Queen Onote was the mother queen of the palace. Princess Emike grew old under the care of Queen Onote, who passed the hatred she had for Queen Omoge to her daughter. She maltreated the princess as she treated her like a slave. Princess Emike grew up a sad and lonely child. She had nobody to play with. The other queen and her children didn't care about her. The king also didn't care of her. He cared only for his only son, who was his heir apparent to his throne. Princess Emike had a melodious voice and sings so well. Most times, she escapes into the bush and sings her sorrows away. While she sings, birds flocked to her side. They were attracted by her melodious voice. She sings out her sorrow. She was lonely and sad. She wished someone who would love her like other children in the palace. As the years went by, the princess grew up to become a beautiful maiden. There was a case of slave catchers in the community. These slave catchers hide out in places and catch young boys and girls and take them to faraway lands to sell. Parents protect their children and don't allow them to go out to far places again. If they must go out, they go out with armed escorts. One day, the queen mother asked the princess to go to the village to get her something. She was to go without escort. The princess left the palace scared to her bones. She was almost halfway to her destination when she was waylaid by slave catchers. She tried to run for her life, but they were too fast for her. Princess Emike was taken away to captivity. The princess was taken away far away from her father's kingdom. She was maltreated and made to work like other slaves. In the kingdom the princess was taken to, the prince and the heir apparent to the throne had been sick for a long time. Every medication that was administered to him did not work. It got worse every passing day. One day, the chief priest visited the palace and told the king that the god said it was a female that would do the healing. All she would do is sing for the prince and it will get better. The king summoned all the females in the communities to sing for his son, one after the other. Nothing happened when the females sang for the prince. The king became more worried. Who was the girl with the golden voice as directed by the gods? It was a guard that told them about Princess Emike, and she was summoned and asked to sing for the prince. The princess started singing sorrowfully and said her story in her song. Some minutes later, the prince sat up and asked for water. Everyone rejoiced. It was like a miracle. The prince that was bedridden for months has finally stood up. The king was happy and he asked the princess to ask for anything and he would grant. She had always wished for the slaves to be free and she asked for their freedom. It was a difficult thing for the king to do, but he had to do it. He gave the order for the slaves to be set free and they all rejoiced. The princess stayed back at the king's palace and she was well taken care of. The prince fell in love with her and asked her to marry him. She had also fallen in love with him and she said yes to him. The king's entourage went to King Osuma's kingdom to formally marry Princess Emike. She came back to live in her new home with her husband. She was known as the princess with the golden voice. Her voice had healing powers and they sought her to heal all forms of ailments with her voice. From a loveless princess, Princess Emike became a mother queen in a great land. What lesson did you learn from this interesting story? I would love to have them in the comments. And please do not forget to subscribe, like, and then leave your comments. And we have varieties of interesting and educative story that you can buy from us. To get our books, call or WhatsApp us at 080-3599-4356. We will meet again in our next story. Bye.